David Hudson.
Thank you, and I want to commend all of you for the time that you give to your elected position. It's extraordinary and it's appreciated. I want to speak about first the resolution on the sanctuary city, and secondly on the charter amendments. The language on the ballot for the sanctuary city, so far all the versions have been unacceptable to most people, pro and con, in that they don't really describe what the resolution does, which is essentially a travel ban and the criminalization of loving friends and families' assistance to a woman with a troubled pregnancy. I think therefore that it's incumbent on the commission, because the ballot language is simply non-descriptive, that you have to state publicly before the election why you vetoed that ordinance, so that the people of Amarillo will know that you found it unacceptable and why, and that they should as well. And then I want to speak to the ordinance on the charter amendments. I want to remind us all that our country is a republic that chose a representative form of democracy to govern ourselves, and that means that the people rule. The government belongs to the people, not to a king and not to you. You had a 10-member committee of citizens that you chose. We had very little input on who got chosen, and they made certain recommendations, one of which you have chosen to take off of the ballot, and that had to do with geographic representation. It did not have to do with single-member districts, because those with a geographic position still had to be elected at large, or by all the people. By removing that recommendation from the set of recommendations, you've gone against the will of the people, and you've placed your sense of what is a priority or important ahead of the people. And promising that it'll be on a vote sometime in the future, by law you can't bring it up for 2 years. That is sort of a presumptive position, because you could be dead or not even elected. You might not even be here in 2 years. I think that I want to speak for the people that option should have been left on the ballot for the people to decide, not for you to decide.
Mr. Rada, we always appreciate you. Thank you.
Next is David Hudson, and after David will be Michael Damron.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. It's good to see you again. I'm David Hudson, and I'm a 40-year resident of Amarillo, and I hope I'm still here in 2 years. Okay? I'm here on item 10E, the charter amendments. And in particular, I'm in opposition of going from 4 to 6. And the reason is, it's a math issue of leading towards single-member districts. So far, Amarillo has prevailed on having, all of your slots through, elected citywide. But once we go to 6 and somebody starts scrutinizing it, they may be bringing a complaint that instead of having 4 geographic areas, you're going to have 6. And in one of those smaller 6 areas, you may fail a test on minority versus majority, and therefore be slipping into a single-member district allegation and challenge in court. I appreciate why you want to do that. This is a decision of benefits versus risks, and I just feel like this is a risk that we're going to be seeking. If you look at this Amarillo College Board of Regents, they're like 9, and they had to go through this, and they ended up going with cumulative voting, the same way with AISD. And I just think once we go above 4 members, plus the mayor, we're going to be slipping into single-member district territory. We're going to be lighting a fuse today. So today is a major inflection point for the governance of the city of Amarillo. I think once we decide to take this to the population, to the citizens of Amarillo in November, and if it does pass then, we may have actually lit a fuse that we can't put out, and we'll be heading toward single-member districts. You've heard from me before why I oppose single-member districts. I think it just creates more infighting. You can see that in other cities, Lowe's, for example. You get back scratching, you get people advocating for more projects in their district, and they'll negotiate for more projects, so you get pork barrel spending. And that's ultimately why I oppose it. I do think going to 4-year terms is a great idea, and staggering those is a great idea. So what I recommend is you do not go to 6 members today, but you do go with the 4-year terms with staggered terms. And when I look at the ordinance in the actual language, it talks about for the ballots for the election, it refers back to the ordinance and talking about staggered, and I don't see that staggered language in the ordinance itself, so you may want to take a look at that. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Michael Damron, and after Michael, Walter Wolfram Jr.
My name again is Michael Patrick Damron, and I reside in Sayre, Oklahoma. It is about the East Ridge Lanes bowling alley sign. I want this committee to know that I'm more than qualified. I'm sure my health will hold out for a couple of years. And if I had my way, if I had 12 projects going right now, 12, I would donate this sign to Good City Amarillo. So I'm here basically for expedience. I have a new phone number, and I'll answer 90% of the time, if not 99% of the time. And I'm still interested, just for a little bit of prestige. But again, I would do that for the city, Good City of Amarillo. It's been good to me, and because of COVID, things got a little complicated in life, as each and every one of you know. And I'm going to close by saying, I did read from a law guru who democracy only has but one problem, and one problem alone, and that is the foolishness of our fellow American citizens. God bless each and every one of you, and thank you oh so much.
Thank you.
Walter Wolfram Jr. If not, Mike Ford will be next. Mr. Ford. After Mike will be Jace Yarbrough.
Six copies. City council members. City manager.
If I could just, before my time starts, just explain what you've been given. One is the first page is the excerpts from the agenda, showing the agenda items of today, that July 23rd. There's an agenda that's been produced by an assistant attorney general 10 years ago. Excuse me?
Use the microphone.
I'm just explaining what I've handed them. Is that okay? Before I get started? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I was hoping I wouldn't get to lose the time. There's also another diagram that you've already been handed, and then an email, and then an analysis. So just for purposes there. Hello, Mayor, Council. My name is Mike Ford, Amarillo, Texas. Since 2015, I've been consistently engaged, urged this council to follow the law. When this new council took office, I had high hopes, publicly supporting you throughout the Sanctuary City saga. However, I find myself deeply concerned, particularly about tonight's agenda item 9Z. The public notice for this item is woefully inadequate again. Merely states consideration of resolution without informing the public that you intend to take action. It fails to mention that you will be deciding on specific ballot language, a crucial aspect that impacts voter information. This is yet another violation of the Open Meetings Act. Mayor Stanley, you hired an out-of-town attorney who isn't required to defend his work, attend these meetings, or answer questions. This attorney has produced ballot language that not only fails the Supreme Court standard, but is potentially illegal if the public has been given no proper notice that this language will be voted on tonight. Councilmember Tips, you suggested only practicing attorneys can question this ballot language in public meetings. I respectfully disagree. The law belongs to all citizens, not just lawyers. The Texas Supreme Court DACA standard wasn't written for attorneys alone. It protects all voters. The vague agenda item further undermines participation, public participation. Councilmember Simpson, your statement that our wording, quote, doesn't mean anything as it relates to what gets enforced is troubling. Ballot language is crucial for informing voters, not a mere formality. The DACA standard exists because ballot language matters. Let me remind you all of the DACA standard. Ballot language must, quote, substantially submit the question with such definiteness and certainty that the voters are not misled, unquote. That isn't legal jargon. It's a legal standard, and the bar is high. Mayor, you stated the ballot language was, quote, not appropriately informing the public, yet this crucial item is buried in an agenda with vague wording using the language you questioned. How can the public meaningfully participate when they're not properly informed of the council's intentions? The view that only lawyers can speak on legal matters contradicts the very essence of public meetings and citizen participation. Are we to believe that citizens must hire attorneys to voice concerns about potential election law violations? Is that your position? I appeal to your honor and integrity as elected officials. Each of you took an oath to serve as Amarillo citizens and uphold the law. I believe in your commitment to our city and your desire to do what's right. The decisions you make today will have lasting impacts on our democratic process and the trust our community places in its government. I urge you to consider this matter with the gravity it deserves. Either postpone action on this item until it be properly noticed to the public, or at the very least, remove item 9Z from the consent agenda. Engage in an open, transparent discussion about the ballot language. Let's work together to ensure it accurately informs voters and meets all legal standards. Thank you.
Jace Yarbrough, and after Jace will be Mark Lee Dixon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Jace Yarbrough. I am not a resident of the city of Amarillo. I'm an attorney, practicing attorney here in the state of Texas. My law partner and I fight for conservative causes and clients in the courts. And sometimes we make the news around the state and we represent some folks and a lot of money's on the line, but we also do a lot for those who are fighting for our conservative Christian values. And I'm here today on behalf of one of those clients. I represent the initiating committee for the Amarillo Sanctuary City ordinance for the unborn that is on the agenda today, item 9Z. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. I want to clarify one thing, if I may. Before I do that, I'll just note that in addition to all those things, I am a native son of the Panhandle. I spent a good majority of my childhood just down 287 in Claude. So very much familiar and share the values of folks in this part of the world and grateful for my upbringing. Today I urge the council to amend the draft ballot language to accurately describe the proposed ordinance. The current draft ballot language describes the ordinance as, quote, establishing a criminal offense. This statement is incorrect. The ordinance specifically, explicitly, and intentionally does not establish a criminal offense. This is clear from the ordinance's text and structure. If allowed to appear on the ballot, this inaccurate text will open the city to legal liability regardless of the outcome of the November election. Now, as to the text, the proposed ordinance explicitly prohibits state officials from enforcing it either directly or indirectly, and this is section 8-6-6C. I'll quote a couple of items from that section. The requirements of this section shall be enforced exclusively through the private civil actions described in section 8-6-8. No direct or indirect enforcement of this section may be taken or threatened by the city of Amarillo, by any officer or employee of the city, by any means whatsoever, and no violation of this section may be used to justify or trigger the enforcement of any other law or type of adverse consequence. Now, because criminal offenses must necessarily be prosecuted only by state officials, this text disqualifies criminal prosecution under the ordinance. As to the ordinance's structure, in addition to explicitly disavowing public enforcement in its text, the structure of the proposed ordinance enforcement mechanism also makes clear that it creates no criminal offense. Instead of public enforcement by state officials, the ordinance establishes a private right of action that authorizes individuals to sue anyone who violates it. Now, as you may be aware, this enforcement mechanism was modeled after that of the Texas Heartbeat Act. Even before Roe and Casey were overturned, the Supreme Court, while considering the Texas Heartbeat Act, confirmed that enforcement by state officials is not possible under the private enforcement scheme contained in laws like this ordinance. Hence, because public enforcement under the ordinance is impossible, the language of the ordinance can never be construed to create a criminal offense. And though I don't know each of you as members of the council, I hope I'm not being presumptuous when I say that I have no doubt that you, like me, share the Christ-centered, unapologetically pro-life convictions of this community. And in the dark and confused times in which we live, it's incumbent on folks like us to stand for our values. And so I urge the council to stand for life by ensuring that the proposed ordinance is correctly described through the language that we include on the member ballot and avoid unnecessary and costly litigation.
Thank you.
Max Lee Dixon.
Hello, my name is Mark Lee Dixon, not an Amarillo resident. I echo what Jace Yarbrough has shared here today. There are many attorneys across the state of Texas that share the same views of this ballot language, that it is very clear that this does not create a criminal offense. And we're not asking for much. We're just asking for the removal of that criminal offense language, whether that be in the ballot language or in anything that comes from the city of Amarillo. We don't want the city of Amarillo to be given any misinformation out regarding this ordinance because it could negatively impact the election. There's already been statements from many in the community and many organizations that are not accurate. Some of those statements could really be cleared up if they would read the Supreme Court ruling of Zarowski versus State of Texas. This is something that we do intend to fully educate people on throughout the coming months, and we just want to make sure that we don't have to fight any kind of statements coming from the city. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And just checking one more time, Walter Wolfram Jr. If not, Mayor, that concludes everyone that signed up.
Greatly appreciate everyone for making public comment here today. Do I have anyone else who would like to offer public comment before we move forward? Yes, sir, Mr. Pennington, if you come forward and give them your full name, please.
Hi, I'm Russ Pennington. I am a resident of Amarillo. Grew up in Colorado, but married an Amarillo girl. So that's how I got here. Thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to quickly just share some thoughts with you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the difficult work that you do. You work long hours for little gain, and I believe that all of you want the best for our city, so thank you. I'm here as a pro-life citizen. I'm for making Amarillo a sanctuary city. I'm not on the committee who filed this petition, and I'm not speaking on their behalf. I believe that all of you are for saving the lives of the unborn in our city. As a pro-life citizen, I would personally like to ask for your forgiveness and apologize for any ways that we have made this process more difficult than it should be. I'd also like to ask for forgiveness and apologize to the members of ARFA. I don't want to be deceptive or misunderstood. I do not believe that calling abortion reproductive freedom makes it any less of a crime against humanity. However, those of us on the pro-life side have not always treated you with the dignity and respect that you deserve. If we care about the lives and the dignity of the unborn, we should also care about those who are living, even if we do not agree with their views. Please forgive us when we have not treated you as a person created in the image of God. I want you to know that we've been praying for you, and we're asking God to bless you. I believe one day we will look back at abortion as we now do at slavery. No one here would say that slavery was not a crime against humanity. However, in the time of the Civil War, many who called themselves Christians stood on both sides of this issue. My prayer is that when our grandchildren read about the history of the overturning of abortion, they will find that Amarillo stood on the right side of this issue. I am hoping that we can cut through the division that has been stirred up, find a way to make Amarillo a safe place for the unborn, a place where those with different opinions can sit down and have civil conversations, and a place where all citizens are treated with dignity and respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As a statement of fact, well done, sir. Thank you for your comments today. Men in the back, if you wouldn't mind coming forward.
Hello, my name is Carol Ann Stewart, and I am a 43-year resident of Amarillo, Texas. I thank you very much for all your prayers over Amarillo, for everything you're doing. Number one, my biggest issue has been the argument over verbiage. And I was out of town the day that you guys voted, which I thought was going to be the following week. The verbiage is very important. I had wished the committee had gotten together to discuss the verbiage a little bit better, because I think we're nitpicking, and also that we are cutting off the head despite the tail. I do know you stood for a sanctuary city for Amarillo, and I do know that you guys are honorable men. I do support everybody in this room, pro-choice and pro-life, because they are humans who were born from the spark of life to the day they pass away. I as always want you to know my opinion and how strong I am. But you, my wonderful men, are in a place of history that is very important. Not only as citizens of Texas, citizens of America, but citizens of the kingdom of God. And you have so much weight on your shoulders. I pray for you to have wisdom and direction on how you vote. Thank you very much for your time. I am strongly for it, and please remove criminal because it is civil. And thank you for correcting verbiage in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, Mr. Skank, I believe I saw you raise your hand next. We'll need your full name and complete address, please, sir. And phone number.
James Joseph Shinek. Anyway. Okay, this ballot language and the things that I wasn't going to say anything, but I've turned into a situation where we're getting stuck down in semantics, and it's the lawyer kind of semantics of what's criminal and what's civil. Anybody that's ever been involved in a civil trial, you feel like a criminal. You know, so the words do matter. So we have to be careful in what we're going to put in there. People need to realize well, first off, I've never seen a case taken, even though Mitchell has done some things in Houston, to court. People are still going and they're traveling, but there's been no precedent of this being dealt with. So whether it actually moves into the civil court or not, how it moves there, those people will be raked over the coals by those who choose to admonish them, to take civil action against them, to sue them. One of the things that I believe in, because I am pro-life, but I'm also pro-freedom, and I'm also pro-love and compassion. Much like we heard from the medical board, Dr. Urban saying, you know, where's the love in this? We need to help these people. Those people are going to run and hide that are in those predicaments. That's not what we want. We want them to seek. And if they choose that, that's the freedom we live under right now. And you can't take that away from them. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Yes, ma'am, I see your hand in the back, if you wouldn't mind coming forward.
My name is Dee Krause. I live at 310 South Mississippi, Amarillo, Texas. I think I might have the wrong date, but I don't know. Don't have any rescue people here, so I guess I'm the only one. I am with Rescue, and we have been saving a lot of dogs and animals around the area. And I hope the clean out the shelter works really good. But in a matter of time, one day, by the time you get all the animals in there, you're still back up to full capacity at the shelter. We do in rescue, I work with a lot of rescues, so we do help the animal control people. Myself, I go out and scan animals. If they are microchipped, I take them home, I get a hold of the owners and reunite the dogs with the owners. Trying to help the animal control people so that they can go out and do what they really need to do. We do have a lot of strays in the area. We do need to get them neutered and straight, so they don't get pregnant, whether it be a cat or a dog. There are so many out there. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, in adoptions, we go ahead and we charge money for adoptions, but the dogs are spayed, updated on their shots, microchipped, everything when they go out that adoption place. So basically, I'm just letting you know, I know I have the wrong date, but I just wanted to let you know that we are out there 24 hours a day trying to save all these animals so that other people can do other things with their life. Rescues do not have that. We have a lady by the name of Dana G that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She's out there trapping dogs when we can't get them. We're out there putting them in our life, in our home, because there's nowhere to put them. If we send them to this shelter, it's not good. And we all live with this in our heart. I just hope that everybody can understand that if you have a dog, get it spayed, neutered, microchipped. Help us to help them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate what you do. Do I have anyone else here who'd like to offer public comment? Okay, we're going to move forward with our meeting. We will now move forward to our discussion items. Item 8A is just a simple question. If I have anything from my council that needs review or additional information. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 8B. The city secretary, you're on it. You got us up there. So this is state of the city. So we're going to do two things here. One, I'm going to be able to announce some